Oh, we got some news. We got some news. Theme song in 3, 2. And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast. For the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Sorry, I'm messing with the sound. I had to take a sip of water because I saw something in the email, in the C Plus Comedy email, that truly threw me for a loop. Also, the headphone cable is wrapped around the cable for the microphone, and there's no safe way to get it without me destroying anything. Listen, there's a lot to talk about. There's not a lot of jobs going around. I'll tell you that right now. But we have some breaking news as soon as I sit down to record this podcast. Oh my goodness. Is this going to... Yeah, let's get into it. This comes from Eric Hayden over at The Hollywood Reporter. SAG-AFTRA suspends strike against video game companies, paving way for return to work for the past year and change. I believe it's for the past year. It's correct. SAG was doing a strike. SAG actors who have done video game work were striking against the video game companies because they weren't getting paid enough. And it's very important to remember that it is like the video game actors who are your Troy Bakers, your Laura Baileys, the rest. The guy who plays Kratos in God of War, he's black. Also, he's very long-winded when it comes to giving speeches. Whenever he talks, it just plan to stay for a while. Anyway, a black man plays. He's been Kratos the entire time. That's amazing. I also just learned that Slash is half black. I had no idea. I thought he was I thought he was a white Jewish guy, half black. I had no idea. It's a very That's a very true thing I found out about 10 minutes ago. Not even. It's 4:06. Okay, so it's very. God damn it! This fucking cable. You're getting a peek into how I am all the time. This happened at the same time. I believe in this past weekend, we get the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 voice actors, and these are A-list actors: Michael Rooker, Milo Ventimiglia, and Kiernan Shipka, which is so strange to me. I don't know how this all works, but I assume, again, it is the people who mainly voice act, and they are insured through SAG, or they're in the SAG union. That's Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, the rest. So SAG's worked out the details of a suspension agreement to allow its performers to return to work for the major studios as it's negotiating team readies, excuse me, the terms of a tentative new contract. The National Board of the Union will meet on Thursday, which is today, to go over the agreement. And if it is cleared, it will be sent out to its members for ratification. We don't have the details just yet, but it's great that we finally landed on this. This quote comes from the SAG-AFTRA chief negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland. After we had hints that the deal was coming through on June 9th. It's now June 11th. Patience and persistence has resulted in a deal that puts in place the necessary AI guardrails that defends performers' livelihoods in the AI age, alongside other important gains. It's also good to know that Disney and Universal have brought together a lawsuit against a company that has been using AI generated characters, imagery rather, of its characters like Darth Vader and I guess Harry Potter in some advertisements, and that just happened today or yesterday. I don't really remember. Added SAG-AFTRA president Fran Drescher, Video game performers stood strong against the biggest. Our video game performers stood strong against the biggest employers in one of the world's most lucrative industries. Their incredible courage and persistence, combined with tireless work of our negotiating committee, has at God, these fruit flies has at last. I didn't get it. Incredible courage and persistence, combined with the tireless work of our negotiating committee, has at last secured a deal. The needle has been moved forward, and we are much better off than before. Next week, we'll probably hear more about the details itself. In next week's episode, you'll probably hear more about the details, sometime before this weekend. Struck companies that they've been picketing against have included Activision, Disney Character Voices, Electronic Arts, WB Games, Epic Games, Insomniac, Take-Two Productions, which is making the Grand Theft Auto games. It was a 320-day long strike. It was way longer than the Hollywood movie studio strike in 2023. Interesting, because that one felt like it was a year and a half, but that was, I guess, less than a year, yeah. A rep has hinted at what we're going to see. There's wage increases of over 24% for performers, enhanced health and safety protections, and industry-leading AI provisions requiring transparency, consent, and compensation for the use of digital replicas in games. And by that, they mean, if they need to do something that looks a lot like, let's take an actor who's been in a game, Kevin Spacey. He was in, I think, one Call of Duty. I think it was Ghosts. I don't remember which one. No, let's take Troy Baker. Troy Baker plays the Joker and Batman. No, he does not play the Joker. He does play the Joker at one point. Now I have to Google this. Troy Baker Joker. Batman Arkham games. The Arkham Origins Assault on Arkham and Arkham Knight. Did I play Assault on Arkham? I did. Do I have Arkham? I did play Arkham Origins. I played it on Xbox. And, of course, I played Arkham Knight. Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. I have Assault on Arkham on a PC. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck. It's difficult because it's like a Metroidvania thing. And I'm not a fan of those. Anyway, yes, he played the Joker after Mark Hamill retired from doing the Joker. Speaking of the Joker, I'm watching Gotham right now when I'm on the treadmill and I'm riding on the bike. And the guy, Cameron something, the guy who plays Joker on there, he's doing an impression. It's good, but he's doing an impression. Anyway, so Troy Baker, if they need to make a replica of him or something, and they don't want to bring him back in studio for whatever reason, this will, and they're going to do something that is overhauling what the character is. This will protect against that, which is good. I have to keep this up because I did not link to it. All right, let's move on. This next one comes from The Athletic by Ralph D. Russo, Stuart Mandel, and Justin Williams. Historic House versus NCAA settlement gets final approval, allowing schools to pay college athletes. This is something that I have been for such a long time. We have adults yelling at what amounts to are young adults / children. They're children. They just turned 18 and they're playing sports, and they have some white man in a hat sitting in the stands screaming at them. This is very important to have these, especially these young brown children, and young brown men and women, and trans and all these other. If we allow them in the thing, don't get mad at me. I don't give a shit. Donald Trump is president. Oh my God. But you really find out who people are when they post against transgender athletes. You really find out who people are. They have to make a big stink about it. I love everybody. Like, okay, do you? This is a jobs podcast. If this is the Constitutionals, I'd go off for about 10 minutes. Fill it up. A federal judge last Friday granted a final approval of the House v. NCAA settlement, a watershed agreement in college sports that permits schools to directly pay athletes over for the first time. Settlement, which revolves a trio of antitrust cases against the NCAA and its most powerful conferences, establishes a new 10-year revenue sharing model in college sports, with athletic departments able to distribute roughly $20.5 million in name, image, and likeness revenue to athletes over the 2025-2026 season. Previously, athletes could earn name, image, and likeness compensation only with outside parties, including school-affiliated donor collectives that have become instrumental in teams recruiting. In fact, that happened so recently that D1 athletes were not allowed to do those types of deals until 2016. So that is something that has been huge. Now, the NCAA and its conferences, ACC, the Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, and SEC are all defendants in the settlement, and now they're going to back pay $2.8 billion in damages to those D1 athletes, going all the way back to 2016. The damages will be paid out over 10 years, with most of the money expected to go to former Power Conference football and men's basketball players. So, obviously the money is going to go to the young men whose conferences that a lot of schools are just built on. If a school is known for D1 basketball and D1 football, the money is going to go there. But there's also young women, young people. Who gives a shit? There's people that play other sports, soccer, lacrosse, whatever. I keep seeing professional lacrosse commercials on when I watch the NFL Network and ESPN. Sometimes I'll see, and also golf. I watch a lot of golf. When I'll see a commercial, and it's the most hyped thing. It's just like a POV, a first person view of a lacrosse player getting ready and stuff. And I'm not gonna watch it, but I see it. Anyway, this is very important. I really like this idea a lot. Again, I'm going to be on the student side. The students who are risking their livelihood, their bodies for this, to be 18, 19, 20, 21 years old and playing sports and having some jackass in a hat wearing a UGA shirt that's 12 sizes too big, drunkenly screaming at you. This is important. This is important for everybody involved, and I would like for those people to get paid no matter what. The name, image, and likeness stuff, besides video games, can be so lucrative for these people who, by all accounts, only 1% of them are going to make it to to whatever league they want to go to. It's all the women that play basketball aren't going to necessarily go into playing basketball in the WNBA. The same thing can be said for the men playing the men's basketball. They're not all going to play in the NBA. A lot of them aren't even going to make it to G League or even across overseas. Some of them might, but it's not going to be all of them. Same thing can be said for football. So it's important for them to get paid, because they are essentially the trophies for these schools, saying, hey, we're Notre Dame. We have these. Look at these. Look what we have. And they're better than yours. And they're stronger and they're faster. And they're going to be able to do better at fencing and better at running and better at distance stuff and better at throwing a football and slamming a basketball. Things like that. Okay, let's move on. This next one comes from Variety, written by Brian Steinberg. Yes, we have our confirmation. Warner Brothers Discovery is going to split into two companies, and this is how it's going to work. David Zaslav is going to get all the cool stuff. He's going to get the studios like HBO. It's going to be a streaming company. It's going to be Warner TV, the movie studios, HBO Max, and the games and experiences division, which means that's going to be the more lucrative side. The studios include, Warner Brothers, and HBO is obviously the name that people care about. They don't care about Max. They care about HBO. So you get HBO and HBO Max, which is very important. Meanwhile, the company will focus on building out the HBO Max streaming service and investing in programming, unfortunately, where it is right now. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't have any trust in it. At the same token, Annecy is this week, the French animation festival that takes place in France. Anyway, they Warner did announce a bunch of projects based on Cartoon Network properties. The regular show, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, they're all getting a spinoff or more spinoffs in the case of Adventure Time. And they're all going to go to different places. The Steven Universe is getting a spinoff with one of its characters, Lars, and that's going to go to Amazon Prime. That's not the first time That's not the first time a Cartoon Network property has gone to Amazon Prime. In fact, the Batman Caped Crusader and Merry Little Batman, which are a TV show about Batman and a cartoon Christmas movie about Batman and Damian Wayne went to Prime Video as well. And this is just what's going to be the reality of the how Warner Brothers operates from this point forward. And I'm not saying that that's not happened before. Paramount has partnered up with Netflix, and they released so many Paramount-driven IP on Netflix for a short period of time. And now, I don't know if that's done. I feel like it's done, but also it happened in such a rapid succession that I don't know if it's going to be over. But The Loud House had one or two movies on Netflix. The Hey Arnold follow-up was on, or sequel movie was on Netflix. The Invader Zim one was. It's great. I fully expect My Life as a Teenage Robot to be brought back for a 70-minute movie. What are you doing? What are you coming over here for? I have nothing for you. Don't wag your little tail, you little dumbass. I'm really cursing up a storm this episode. Anyway, the streaming side of that company, which I'll refer to as HBO Max, and then the other side will be referred to as the rest. As the linear stuff. That the streaming side of the company, which again is Warner TV, the movie studios, HBO Max, the games, and the experiences division. That's going to focus on building out HBO Max streaming service and investing in programming. Meanwhile, there's another side. They're splitting into two companies. Remember that. The TV company will include the Warner TV networks, the TBS, the TNTs, Cartoon Networks, Adult Swim, around the world, along with the specific digital brands tied to the TV entities, which includes Discovery Plus, Bleacher Report, and CNN's new streaming products. And you see that they have Discovery Plus and CNN's new streaming products in there, so that means that they're not going to just throw this away. Warner's move is likely to spur new speculation about potential consolidation in the media. Part of the strategy behind Comcast Versant is its ability to do deals. Paramount Global, owner of CBS, is also under financial pressure and may have to consider new rounds of cost-cutting if it cannot consummate a deal it has in place to be acquired by Skydance Media. I'm going to tell you something right now. There's some layoffs happening at Paramount. This split is on the idea of consolidation. I was listening to, I'm going to reference Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway's podcast Pivot, and let me find the title of that episode. I was listening to the Monday episode this morning, the one called LA Protests, Trump's Authoritarian Playbook, and Warner Bros. Discovery Split. And Galloway suggested that the consolidation could happen. He suggested, he didn't say this was going to happen, but the consolidation could happen in this way, in that Comcast, split with I think they split Comedy Central and the rest of those networks outside of the Paramount system. So it can suggest that although that TV section and the Warner Brothers TV section could come together and make a company together that's basically losing money, but it's all the TV stuff in one place. I don't know how that would work, but that's something. This is we're going to see more of this. These companies are way too big to run. On the other hand, Robert Iger, the head of Disney, came out and said, hey, Comcast and Warner doing this, It makes us look stronger because we've got our shit together. And it's true, they do. They don't have to. They don't have to come out and say, "Hey, Disney Channel and Disney Junior and ABC and Freeform aren't making money, so we've got to split them from Disney Plus." No, what they're able to do is they're able to leverage what they have with Disney Plus and use it and to help the other the networks. I went last night. I was searching through some TV stuff before ultimately landing on streaming, but I was going through the channels, and I on again on Cartoon Network. While I still watch it, while it's probably still the most watched network in this household, I see. Besides golf, on Saturdays and Sundays, apparently. I watch a lot of golf. I see, Nickelodeon only airs SpongeBob now, pretty much. With the exception of, on Saturdays at, 10 a.m., they air one new show. They have, the second season of Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is a show, which is anthropomorphized rock, paper, scissors living in the world. And then they also have, another new show whose key art I can see, but I don't know what the name of the show is. And then other than that, they do SpongeBob. Nicktoons only airs SpongeBob, whereas Nicktoons used to air all of the older shows like Fairly Odd. It's not even that old, but they used to have Fairly Odd Parents and Kappa Mikey. I'm going way back to the early 2000s, and different shows like that. But now it's just all SpongeBob. Then you go to Universal Kids, which is shut down now, which is just gone, and PBS Kids. Which just airs PBS stuff, obviously. And if you look at Cartoon Network compared to Nickelodeon, yes, Cartoon Network is airing at least Teen Titans, and they've gotten back to some older shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Ed, Edd n Eddy sometimes, and reruns of The Amazing World of Gumball. Less so now for some reason. For some odd reason, when they announced the reboot to Amazing World of Gumball, and it's going to Hulu. See, that's another Warner property leaving. It's just they stopped airing that show. But then they also have Adult Swim starting at 6 p.m. now, which makes sense. And it seems like they have a more varied schedule compared to Nickelodeon. And then you go to Disney Channel and Disney Junior, which, yes, Disney Junior airs so much Bluey, and it airs so much Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and Pup Pals and all that stuff. However, I don't know if I said that show right. However, when you go to Disney XD and Disney Channel, you see a litany of different shows. You see Gravity Falls. You see the new Phineas and Ferb. You see the old Phineas and Ferb. But the new Phineas and Ferb, which launched on Disney Plus, is airing in linear television, which is amazing. Yes, you can watch all 10 episodes right now, but you can go to Disney Channel and you can see Phineas and Ferb. The new Phineas and Ferb. You can see, what is that animated zombie show? It's a zombie show where they're all dating. You can see the Descendants show. You can see all this. You can see this different stuff. You can see movies. Disney is doing it right. And I don't understand why Warner, it's too late now. It's too late. Because even when I was there at Cartoon Network, they were turning into the idea that, hey, maybe we should start airing some older shows. No, it's too late now. It's Disney put in the effort, and they've solidified themselves in this segment of people who still have cable, or cable leaning properties like Hulu with Live TV and YouTube TV and Sling and Fubo. That is now a Disney owned property, or Hulu owned property, which is owned by Disney anyway. But they've solidified themselves as a place for people to want to stay to watch. In the same way, if you go to TNT, what do they have now? They don't have. They barely have sports. I think they're finishing up the hockey season, so they barely have sports, and they're just going to be running older movies that you can find on HBO Max. Now, with that in mind, why did David Zaslav get paid over $52 million, even though this comes from Variety, written by Todd Spangler? Warner Bros. Discovery lost $11.5 billion in 2024. How did CEO David Zaslav exceed his bonus targets? Warner Bros. Did not have a good 2024. Revenue dropped 4.8% to $39.3 billion. They lost a staggering $11.5 billion. That's a net loss, largely because of a $9.1 billion goodwill impairment charge that reflected the lower valuation of its linear networks, TV networks. WBD stock fell around 7% for the year. Also, the stocks did pop a little bit for Warner Brothers when they announced a split, and then they soon leveled off. Investors were like, "This is this is an idea." Zaslav, as I mentioned, I think over the past 2 weeks, had a 4.4% pay bump in total, bring his compensation to $51.9 million last year, including a cash bonus of $23.9 million and $23.1 million in performance-based restricted stock grants. According to WBD, Zaslav was deemed eligible for a 108.6% payout of his 2024 cash bonus target and 200% of the target of his stock grants. So what happened? Apparently, among those wondering the same were the stocks investors. They had this annual stockholders meeting where they disapproved of his pay. A majority of the shares were cast against a non-binding advisory to approve the pay, so they disapproved of it. It's symbolic because it doesn't have an effect on how much he gets paid or if he actually gets paid. And then the board came out and said, we look forward to continuing its regular practice of engaging constructive dialogue with our shareholders, which means bull honking. Like other public companies, Warner Bros. Discovery pays senior managers like Zaslav in a way that's supposed to, quote, align our executives' interests with those of our stockholders, as the company says in its latest proxy statement. Now, the fine print of WBD's 2025 proxy statement spells out how the board decided Zaslav has earned his pay. Now, the cash bonus was not tied to the bottom line at all. According to Warner Bros. Discovery, Zaslav's cash bonus was determined based on a weighted formula with 70% based on 3 financial metrics: revenue, adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is EBITDA. All right. This rolls off the tongue. You see how I did not stumble through that. And year-end paid streaming subscribers. The remaining 30% was based on this performance against quote-unquote strategic measures, which means laying people off, and which areas of the company that hit. As noted, WBD's revenue declined in 2024 and came in below the 100% payout threshold of the $40.4 billion set set by the compensation committee for Zaslav to be eligible for that portion of the cash bonus. But a larger component in calculating his bonus was adjusted EBITDA, which was $9.032 billion for 2024, which is down 11% year over year, but still over the $9 billion threshold for 100% payout. So he got super lucky, super lucky, especially when it came to that previously mentioned $9.1 billion goodwill impairment charge. And that's part of the reason why he was able to get paid that money. Meanwhile, the strategic goals that factored in Zaslav's bonus were more qualitative. For example, those goals for Zaslav, one of those goals was to complete the integration pipeline, implement cost controls to adjust cost to serve in declining linear TV revenue environment, lay people off, make things cheaper. On this front, Zaslav achieved incremental cost savings of $1.8 billion in 2024, significantly over-delivering against internal goal. Again, layoffs. The committee determined Zaslav had met the outlined strategic goals at 115% of his target. Now, the stock grants, which are valued at $23.1 million, were part of WBD's long-term incentive compensation program. We believe that delivering a substantial portion of an executive's total direct compensation and equity awards helps to align our executives' interests with those of our stockholders, which means that if the company does well, then the stock will go up and he'll get paid more. However, that sounds like it's a good thing, it sounds like it'll make him want to make the company richer. But I mean, all in all, he's still getting paid $23.1 million in untaxed stocks. Who obviously have to pay taxes on that stuff, but still, it's fascinating how he gets all this money for essentially doing nothing and essentially saying, hey, we want to save this much money. Here are my goals to do so. It's going to be layoffs, and it's not going to be, we're going to make the same amount of TV shows, but for less. Instead, we're just going to cancel things. The stock grants were not based on total stockholder return. Instead, those were based on 75% of individual strategic goals, similar to ones used to calculate his bonus. So he could just say, hey, this is what I want to do. And there you go. I guess so. And then there's also the remaining 25% of the stock grants formula was based on how well Zaslav delivered on free cash flow. Anyway, it's been bad for this industry, especially now that there are more layoffs happening left and right. We're going to see layoffs happen all over the place. I believe Disney just had, hold on, did Disney layoffs. Disney had some layoffs earlier this month. It's June 11th. That happened on June 2nd. And now we see, this comes from Todd Spangler at Variety, Paramount had to make more layoffs. Several hundred employees were let go, representing 3.5% of the U.S. workforce for Paramount. This is under this co-CEO, CBS chief, George Cheeks, Chris McCarthy, and president and CEO, Showtime, NTV Entertainment Studios, and Paramount Media Networks, and Paramount Pictures and head Brian Robbins. They cited linear TV declines and, quote, a dynamic macro environment for the layoffs. The thing is, when you look at the macro environment for television and movies as a whole, CBS had the most viewers. And if you look at CBS, and if you at least look at Paramount Plus, which I know is losing so much money, combine that with together, they should more than make up for the MTVs, the BETs, the VH1s, the ones that are losing money. CBS had the most viewers on broadcast, the most viewers on television. So to say that that is the answer as opposed to what's really happening, and what's really happening, they don't know how to run this company. They're trying to make it lean enough to make for the government to say, okay, you can merge with Skydance, and also so Skydance doesn't take on a lot of debt. And then also, when you have CBS News bowing down, trying to settle with a president who is mad that they did a report against him. I'm sorry. He's mad that they did a report against him, and he's also mad that they made the other candidate look good, quote unquote. Paramount's already made so many layoffs, and the total at the end of 2024, Paramount Global had 18,600 employees worldwide. They cut back about 2,000 of those. So they had 20,600 before, and then they cut back. Again, we saw Disney, we saw Warner Brothers do these layoffs. We see big names from Paramount leave the company. Naveen Chopra left this past Monday. She was the CFO after 5 years in June 27th. She's going to leave on June 27th. She's going to be joining Roblox. Anyway, I can't see this ending up good for anybody. You know, everybody's doing this pivot towards streaming because they think that they can all catch up to Netflix, when in reality, they're long gone. Netflix is way ahead of you. The only company that can catch up is Disney, and even still, that's going to be tough. But at least Disney has a plan and knows what they're doing. Whereas Warner Brothers over there, fiddling around with the name again, thinking that that's going to help. Also, I'm not entirely sure this could happen, but I feel as though once we get that shift back to HBO Max, then it's going to become somewhat a shell of itself, because what I could see happening is with this split between the streaming stuff and the TV stuff, which again also includes Discovery Plus and Bleacher Report, we're going to see kind of a lessening of the Discovery Plus stuff on the HBO on the HBO Max platform, which would make HBO Max a lot less viable of a platform to subscribe to. Like, it wouldn't make sense for somebody to go, hey, I watch Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, I watch House Hunters, but also I want to see Duster. So why would anybody subscribe to both Discovery Plus and HBO Max when they can in fact just not do that or subscribe to one? I don't know. I scroll through HBO Max, and every single week it just seems like it's more of a shell of what it should be. It should be a catch-all for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim and even Food Network. I should be able to go here and watch whatever episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives I want to, as opposed to subscribing to Discovery Plus, which I don't, and having to sift and wade through, you know, Ghost Stories and all these other shows just to get to Love It or List It, House Hunters, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and things of that ilk. Streaming, this focus on streaming is where the companies are going, but now at this point, it seems as though it's the antithesis of what they should be doing. Where, by that I mean, it is much more obvious that they want to make that money off of streaming, but they don't necessarily want to do anything drastic and daring. No one would have done, besides Netflix, would have done Everybody's in LA. Excuse me, Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. Everybody's in LA is the previous iteration of that show. But Everybody's Live with John Mulaney, because it wouldn't bring them the money or the viewers that they want. But if HBO Max came out with another talk show, if Paramount Plus didn't cancel after midnight, after Taylor Tomlinson said she wanted to go back into touring, they would have people, comedy writers, willing, and I know and I know TV's more than comedy, but they would have comedy writers willing to write dumb bits for these shows, and you would have another show that you can chop up and put on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram and have more potential viewers come through. You want to have this expanded universe for DC movies, but do you necessarily need that? No. Yes, you're going to have a crew of 200 people get paid, but in the long run, they're having consistent jobs. Like, I watch Gotham, and I'm watching Gotham right now, rather, and I see all the same names over and over again. It's good to have those people get paid consistently and have jobs. I want more. We're having more spinoffs of Yellowstone. Heck yeah, let's get people paid. I've said fuck like 5 times. I just say heck yeah. But yeah, let's get people paid. Let's let Rebecca Sugar have more Steven Universe spinoffs, or if they have more ideas. Let's let Adam Muto do more Adventure Time projects, because people should be getting paid. And in the end, you're going to have viewers because people are coming back over and over again, especially if you put the shows out weekly instead of dropping everything at once. People are going to be coming back over and over again every single week for 9, 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, however long your seasons are, to watch your shows. I watched Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV Plus every single week it came out. I did that with The Studio, also on Apple TV Plus. I did that with Doctor Who. I am 2 behind on Doctor Who. I know what happens. I know Shooty Got was gone. He left on his own volition. And I think that's how I pronounce it. I don't know. I come back and I watch Last Week Tonight on Max every single week. The same token, I watch on YouTube TV. I watch all the late night shows. I watch The Daily Show. Reluctantly, I watch Mondays reluctantly. I have a problem with Jon Stewart. I watch Seth Meyers every single day. I watch Kimmel. I watch Colbert. I watch sometimes after midnight. I watch Fallon. Continually. I pop in on Jeopardy. Is it raining? I should have gone to the pool today. The sun was out. And then I laid down because I haven't done anything. So I laid down, took a nap, and I woke up, and then there's overcast, but the sun was still shining, and I went, it's probably going to rain in a second. Now it's raining, and that was like 2 hours ago. I just wish that, Warner in particular, it was such a boon working for that company. I don't know what that was. I just wiped away this dust that was coming off of the microphone stand, the arm, and I just wiped away this dust, and it was just, and now like my fingers were completely black. I rubbed it on my leg, and now it's just like gone in my skin. Warner's, we've seen every single one of these companies do the thing that is spend too much money, lay people off. I wish just once one of these companies, as big as they are, Warner Brothers is already failing. Paramount's already failing. I wish just one of these companies would go for a year, let's invest in the artists. Let's invest in the music people and the TV people and the people working behind the scenes and the people working in front of the scenes. As much as you give your executives, let's just invest in the projects. And we're going to allow them to make shows again, to make movies again. You don't have to give them the world. They don't have to have $200 million budgets. But just trust in it. Trust in it. And if it pays off, it pays off. And yes, I know that it will take a long time for those to pay off. It would take, if they started it last year and they put out a show now and the show did well, they wouldn't see those returns until Q4. But at least you can say we did it and we tried, even if it fails. All right, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cbluscomedy.com. We're going to see talk to famous people. I have a couple interviews coming out. If you want to see a video version of this show, a video version of the other podcast, the Constitutionals podcast, which is the entertainment business news show. That's also where the audio version of the interviews lives. And you also want to listen to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. Go to youtube.com/C+Comedy. Where you can see a video version of everything I've done. If you want to subscribe to those shows, wherever you get your podcasts, the Constitutionals and Late Night Lately and LinkedIn Logs, go to your podcatcher of choice, wherever you get your podcasts. And then social media, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram @C+Comedy, me @ChadBlackWhite. Thanks so much. Bye.